Hey there, it's Brooks with 7 Sons, and I'm joined with my wife Catherine, who is behind the camera. I worked really hard to get our roles reversed, but there was no having it. Anyways, we got some dinner on the stove behind us, and we'll take a peek at that a little bit later. But as the title of the video says, we're here to share 3 helpful tips from our Whole30 experience. I know January is the time of resolutions, and for those of us looking to kick off the new year with some healthier eating habits, you might have a tendency to dive into one of the popular emerging diets that are kind of on the trend right now. There's a lot of different ones that you might have heard of. There's keto, paleo, Whole30, and others. And I just want to take a moment to say that we're not necessarily taking this video to endorse one of those diets as the most sound diet of them all, but I've been talking to people for a long time who've tried this Whole30. Even a couple years ago, I kept hearing more and more people every year telling me about the Whole30 diet. So we bought the book sometime last year and thought we had to give it a try. So last July, Catherine and I dove in. And if you've never heard of the Whole30 before, it's almost more of partially a cleanse than a long-term diet. It has 2 phases. The first phase is kind of, I like to call it the elimination phase. So it's where you strip your diet down to basically just whole real foods. So fruits and vegetables, a lot of meats and fats in your diet, and then some nuts and seeds as well. But after that, there's not a whole lot else that fits into it. So the idea is that you take 30 days to eliminate all the cravings that you have for those foods that can be harmful for your body. And then after those 30 days, the second phase is called we like to call the reintroductory phase. So it's where you take some of those food groups that you've been off of and reintroduce them into your diet one at a time to see how your body reacts to it. The idea is that there's really not this diet, one diet that fits everybody. We're all a little bit unique. So you would introduce one food group back at a time, see how your body does with it, and that kind of helps you develop the long-term diet that's best for your body long-term. So that's the diet, and again, you're removing a lot of really common food groups that are staples for a lot of people. So there's no grains, no dairy, all the sweeteners are gone. So it does take a lot of discipline to get through the diet. And even for Catherine and I, eating almost every meal from home, it was still quite a transition for us, and we were very surprised by the amount of preparing and food prepping that was involved to make it possible. So we do have 3 tips for you. So tip number 1 is to read the book. So the Whole30 program was developed by a couple, Dallas and Melissa Hartwig. They wrote a book called It Starts With Food, and in that book they outline the entire program, what foods are allowed, what aren't. But what's really important is that they go into the rationale and kind of the science behind why certain food groups are eliminated for the 30 days. And that just really helps give you motivation as to why you're even going through the program. We've talked to and just seen a lot of our friends who've gone down this road of taking on the Whole30 for 30 days and then just get overwhelmed, the first couple weeks, not really understanding why they're not allowed to have, certain foods that were staple in their lives, and then, not be able to follow it through just because of the lack of understanding. And plus, it is a unique diet, and there are some common staples that get eliminated, so there will be a little bit of pressure that you'll get from some social peers. So it's just nice to have the rationale to back up why, the idea behind the 30-day cleanse and why certain food groups aren't allowed in. So that's tip 1, read the book. Tip number 2 would be to don't do it alone, if at all possible. Go in with friends, prepping ahead of time your ingredients and meals, and just even thinking through some different recipes. It takes a lot of work, and the more minds you get involved, the better. So we'd say if you can, don't do it alone. It lets you share through the agony in the beginning with all the cravings going wild, and then also it helps keep you accountable, and then someone there to kind of share in the success once it's completed and through. All right, so tip number 3, Catherine came up with the first 2, and she let me come up with number 3 all by myself. And the big thing for me on the Whole30 was the discovery of buffalo sauce. So I know that might spin you a little bit, but believe it or not, before the Whole30, buffalo sauce and really any kind of hot sauce was not something that ever made it into my diet. But once you're on that strict, just that strict diet for the first 2 weeks, you got cravings for all these flavors that you're missing, just going wild. And adding buffalo sauce in here and there just really helped satisfy that and helped you get on to the next day. So it might not be buffalo sauce particularly for you, but some sort of Whole30 compliant sauce that you can find, I think just having some flavor that you're a little bit used to will help you kind of get through. And it's not hard. I say buffalo sauce because it's not hard to find buffalo sauce that's Whole30 compliant. Some brands aren't, so you got to read your labels. But we incorporated it in so many different fun recipes, and it kind of made the planning of it just a little bit of something to look forward to as well. So we'll probably include a couple recipes that incorporate buffalo sauce that we really enjoyed in the bottom of this blog post. But that's pretty much our 3 tips from our experience. Again, we're not experts, but hopefully those give you something. If you thought about taking the Whole30 or trying the program out, at 7 Sons, we want to try and make it as easy as possible for you. On our website, if you ever shop the online store, we have actually a collection of Whole30 compliant products. We have sugar-free bacon, and we're working on some sugar-free ham right now. We're actually, by March, we hope to have an entire line of sugar-free sausages as well, both for beef and pork. So we want to make this easy for you if you do try to head down this road as well. If you've tried the Whole30 before, please comment below, show us your recipes. We really enjoyed just talking to other people who had tried it and kind of just sharing some different ideas and some things that they tried. It's kind of a fun experience, and we learned a lot through the whole process. One last thing, we did say that we'd give you a peek at our dinner tonight. This is actually a Whole30 compliant stir fry. So the chicken we actually marinated. We discovered, I'm blocking your light there, aren't I? We discovered teriyaki coconut aminos to marinate the chicken in. Again, finding different sauces just to add some flavors that you're used to or have been missing is really helpful. We'll add some cauliflower rice to this, and it'll hit the spot.